Well, of course, this digitization process is challenging in many aspects, but if I have to choose the real biggest challenge, it's probably the selection of material. We are not in the position that the full collection that we have, which contains rushes, which contains raw material, which contains double copies that we used to have in the analog era. It is a huge effort to do a prioritization and the selection, to do the right things first, of course. And then, of course, it's a question of speed. Many of the analog media, tape-based media, are in a very fragile condition. Actually in maybe even bad conditions. Physically, the tapes are deteriorating, are actually rotting away. So it is a question of speed, which comes back to the right prioritization to safeguard the most urgent contents first, before it even comes to the technical procedure. In my view, the historic authenticity is the most important fact for the result that comes out of the digitization process. But we must be aware that authenticity must go back to the original production circumstances. It's a different source quality that will come out of a 1970s news production, a news feature of 15 minutes that was shot on 60mm color reversal film. This will be a different visual and also audio quality than something that was produced 1 year ago. So there is no way for me to calibrate, so to say, every piece of content to the same level. That would be, let's say, a distortion of the historic authenticity. I think the coming as close as possible to the original feeling, and this is when we come to the perception of the viewer. So the historic feeling, so to say, that was meant by the original producer and also by the original technicians. You must be aware that also a cameraman, when he shoots something, usually he has some intention and also technical about the quality that he wants to produce, about the color settings, about the lighting, about the audio. So this is a real complex question that probably will never be fulfilled 100%, because you can't turn back time for 20, 30 or more years. But you have, in such a process, you have to try to get as close to the original intentions of the original producers as possible. And this, of course, then drives the technical process. Well, if I could make a wish, I would, of course, like to have, let's say, representative images and audios of every century of mankind, going back at least 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years, because what we have as remains and as sources from these times is so little compared to what it was probably at the original time. When you think about Roman or Greek ruins of temples or amphitheaters, we look at uncolored stones. Originally, of course, we know that. Meanwhile, all these buildings were colorful. They were filled with sounds of all kinds, and these are only a few examples. The medieval era, what we have as buildings from then, of course, this was a complete different impression at the original moment and in the time when it was built. So audiovisual is such a rich source of everyday life, and this is for me also the reason why, at least for the times, for the little more than 100 years where we have this medium and this technology available, every little piece that has been shot needs to be preserved in the right way, so we at least have a memory of of our time, which is a very complex task in a time where YouTube is overloaded by uploads. So the question how our contemporary audiovisual let's say production will be transported and will be preserved for the future is a huge task, maybe even more imminent and important than in decades before.